Well, hello there, Carrie Ann. Here we
Hello,
are,
beautiful.
you and I together with no fellas.
No, the fellas have ditched us, but
They
that's all
have,
right.
they have ditched us, but I think we can manage without them today
Goddess
because
is ruling today, so
goddesses are ruling today because it is the goddesses that have to step forward and this divine feminine. I was listening to Zach Bush yesterday. He's just done this amazing interview, and he was talking about the Hindus having, was it the Hindus, whoever he's talking about, have this vision of what we're doing as this beautiful bird that has one wing out, which is the other one, the patriarchic wing. It's been flying for eons with just one wing out. And what we're doing at the moment is that's the divine. That wasn't the divine, it's the patriarchy. And then now the divine feminine is coming out, and this wing is starting to come out so that we get back into balance. And I thought it was so beautifully put. Um, Yes, and that is not just within us women, it is within the men. And I think there's nothing more beautiful than to see a divine masculine coming forward and rebalancing and supporting each other. It's just fabulous. It's such a great time to be alive.
isn't
So
it? Well, one wing, Yvonne, we'd be just going around in circles, wouldn't we? Which is what we've been doing. So that other wing expands, and here we go, we're taking flight.
absolutely. Well, and our topic is really something that came out of my post, I think 2 days ago, day before last, whatever, when my team became quite feisty. So the question we're going to ask everyone is this the world you choose to live in? And I would love you to think about what that means for you. And look, before we go to that, and I always forget to do all the things that we're supposed to do, like make sure you share this and all that stuff. And I ought to introduce Carrie Ann, although I feel that everybody knows you more than they know me. So if you want to know about us, check us out. We've got more important things to do than to talk about us. So, Carrie Ann, what do you think about that question? Is this the world you want to live in?
Well, the question is perfectly poised to go deep, isn't it? To really inquire into what it is that we're creating here, and therefore to recognize that we are indeed the creators of our reality. And perhaps that's something that people have forgotten for some time. I know for yourself and myself, we've been on our spiritual journey, for want of a better word, for so long that it's second nature for us to go into the imaginative process and to know that when we're creating through that portal of imagination in that pre-matter format, that sooner or later that will template down into the form of matter. We know that that is just the way things work. And so perhaps we're having to dial it back and put the dots very closely together and just remind the collective that they are so supernatural and have so much incredible technology at their disposal that all they have to do is to commit to the process. They don't have to toe the line of what a certain narrative is telling them to do. They can say, hey, thanks for the information, but I choose not to align with that. I'm not consenting to that. I do not give my permission for that. And in that moment, they're straight back into sovereignty and straight back into creator mode, because if they're not aligning to that, well, what are they aligning to? Well, they can align to their own imaginative process. How would anyone who's listening, how would you love Earth to look? How would you love to feel more so in a new Earth paradise or paradigm? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Can you allow yourself to go into fantasy mode every day as often as you can and really project via your pineal gland, via your third eye technology, what it would be like to have this paradise? And to know that as you do that, even though you might feel like you're doing nothing and you're just playing around, that actually is the most purposeful work that you can do at this time, because that is what creates our reality. And so the spiritual path it is disciplined in many senses because you've got to commit to these processes. But boy, it's fun, Yvonne, once you figure it out. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be blissful. Oh, you're muted, darling.
I'm muted. Oh, okay. Well, just as well, because my phone wasn't muted, which I now will do. This is called organic, okay? The thing that this came up, this creation, that is the problem. We have been so misinformed in our upbringing, in our education, as Soft likes to call it, and primed to be a follower and not a leader. And it's only the very few that break free from that because something inside of them tells them that that isn't for them. And I think this is where the collective is really finding itself, to come up against a wall that says, this is not really for us. And until they get to that wall, they are just following like sheep. And I apologize to the sheep, but when I see what's going on out there, the question was, is this the world that you choose to live in? And my answer to that is absolutely not. Well, yes and no, because I am creating, like you, a world that isn't like the world out there. I went out shopping this morning and I honestly couldn't get back to my world fast enough because it makes me very tired. I've been at this for over 35 years, and I was just saying to my daughter, who lives in Kuala Lumpur, and it is just so overwhelmed with everything being so constricted and corrupted. And I was just saying to her that I used to work mostly one-on-one and reasonably small groups because I'm not very good with thousands. I've done thousands, and I just look at that and I think, well, how many am I actually affecting? So I chose to work in smaller groups and with one-on-ones. And so I used to get so excited when I saw somebody who awakened and who started to live their passion, and you saw them blossom like a flower, and I'd get really excited and I'd go, oh my, this work is so worthwhile. I love it. I'm going to do some more. And that was wonderful because when I went out to do the shopping, I couldn't see that all these people weren't of the same vein because they looked similar.
Yeah.
But these days, I go out there and it's very obvious the ones that are, and the ones that are following a narrative that I just don't see as an evolutionary process, and those that are. And so now I go out and I get so overwhelmed and exhausted because I think, oh, there's too many of you. I don't know how I'm going to really make a difference, right? So then I go back to my community, which seems to grow every week because more and more people are looking for a different way, which you just described as, let's create this, what do you want your earth to look like? However, there is something that came through when I did that post, and it said, well, if you don't want to live in this world, the next question was, why do you keep creating it? Mm-hmm. And when that came through, I thought, oh, that's a bit harsh, but that's true. And I think that's a point I really want to make, that every time that we follow someone else's instructions that is not aligned with our heart space, that isn't feeling good in here, but we're doing it from here out of fear or out of ego. I want to go to work, so I'm going to do whatever you say to be able to do that. I want to go to the tennis, which is on at the moment, and do whatever it takes to get there. I want to go to have coffee, and I'll do whatever it takes to get there. Once upon a time, we used to teach our children that our bodies were sacred and no one was to touch you without your permission. And it makes my heart break to see how many people are giving their bodies away and giving permission, and no longer remember that this is a sacred vehicle created by Prime Creator for the purpose of the experience of this journey on this planet. And what are we teaching our younglings? You know, I have grandchildren. I have 5 grandchildren. And what are we teaching? What are we teaching them? How are they going to say, oh, well, we just do as we're told. We don't use any of our will. You know, our children, they're free spirits. And we shut them down. We have been shut down. And so every time that we comply, and that is you and I as well, in whatever small way, that to something that is not in alignment with source, not in alignment with expansion, not in alignment with love, with peace, with harmony, and most of all, not in alignment with human kindness, because that seems to have been going out the door. The separation and the division within families, within friendships, is staggering. And it is causing far more damage than any little nose drip could possibly cause. So, yes, the question is, if you do not like this world and you don't choose to live in it, then why do you keep creating it? There are so many of us, and if we all said no, it's the end of it. I was thought about war. If every soldier put down his gun and said, I am not killing another person, then there would be no war.
Yeah.
But we're so...
It begs the question, Yvonne, maybe to reframe it, to play devil's advocate, maybe they want to create what they're living. And I only experienced that listening to that epic speech you just made, so on point. But it makes me wonder, well, maybe they thrive on the drama. Maybe they want to just be so lazy in their exercising of free will that they'll hand it over to whoever. In Queensland here, our Premier looks like she's had too many beers and meat pies. She is not a pillar of health. She has no radiance. She is not glowing. She is not standing in her spiritual power. For anyone with eyes to see it, it is so obvious. However, the masses are towing the line. She squawks what the latest rule is, and everyone can't run quick enough to comply. So maybe that's what they want. Maybe that is the world they're choosing to create. They thrive on the chaos. Look at reality TV and how huge that's been over the past few years, because people just love tuning into drama, chaos. When's the next bit of gossip? When's the next bit? Because they're so lacking in consciousness that this actually at least gets their adrenaline kicking up into gear, and they feel like there's a little bit of life force. And so, like people tuning into all of your Today Tonights and a Current Affairs and all of these things, it's like people are now living it. So I wonder, just to play devil's advocate, because you and I would go, why would you want to create that? But the fact remains, they are creating that. The collective is creating all of this drama. And I would go so far as to say that we too are complicit in creating it. And what I mean by that, even for the awakened people, what I mean by that is that we needed to activate. So, of course, we need a certain level of opposition that's right there in front of us. Like you said, you go out into the matrix. I went out to Kansas, our local, closest city here where I live. Not a big city, but still enough for me to feel like I was in the zombie apocalypse and was in the matrix. And for the first time, I actually felt the aggression in that energy field, and it scared me. It actually scared me. I, like yourself, I couldn't wait to get out of there. I had to run to the hills and dive into the waterfalls just to cleanse myself of that energy. So something definitely is afoot, something's going on, whether it's this latest round of inoculations that is dumbing the collective down even more, that's causing them not to have an original thought in their head. But for some reason, that is what they're choosing to create. And for some reason, that is what we're also choosing to create. Because when we have that ability to see so clearly in this hologram who's aligning to grace and who is not, well, I tell you, it makes you dig a little bit deeper, doesn't it, Yvonne? I mean, I think our meditations, our rituals, our practices, everything has to go to the next level. We have certainly gone galactic. I do group meditations with people where we're going into the astral planes and recoding things. Like, there's so much that's going on really behind the scenes for those that have been light workers for some time and who know how to use energy. So I'm curious if we're also creating it just so we keep marching forward, because unlike when Atlantis fell, it feels like this time we're ascending no matter what. So it almost feels like we'll throw everything at us if that's what you choose, but we will just keep activating no matter how dark it gets. It will just create this propulsion towards the light. I'm interested to see what the collective is doing, and from the higher multidimensional planes, why in fact it is happening. But from a third dimensional perspective, of course I'm going, what the actual, like, what are you people doing? Like, wake up to yourselves. Can't you see the heartache that you're creating for the future generations? And I feel like that's when we drop to our knees and go, why are you doing this to the children? Please leave the children alone. This is not on. And yet there's mothers that are running to get their children vaccinated. I just read a post this morning where at least the mother came out and spoke the truth. She'd taken 3 of her daughters in to get vaccinated. 2 within 20 minutes started having severe convulsions in the waiting room at the doctor's. So, and we know, I also heard recently of 7 children perishing within a couple of days of having the inoculation. So
Yeah.
this has been
Watch
a
the language.
yeah.
All right. So, wow, so many things you just brought up. The first thing that I wanted, just why I started to laugh, was because when you're talking about what your premier is doing and whatever title you give these people, I went to the shops this morning and I've been healing a back problem. So I went into the chemist to get some Panadol, and the shelf was empty. And I went, that's strange. So the chemist was standing beside me and he said, what are you looking for? And I said, what's happened to all of them? And he said, oh, didn't you know? Because I don't ever allow, any mainstream information into my home. I don't go there for my questions and my needs. So he said, no, there was an announcement that everybody had to stock up on Panadol because there was this rush on this latest variant of whatever, I'm already tuned out. And so there was none available. So those of us who actually could do with something like that, it's not there. But then I went into the supermarket and I did need some toilet paper. Actually, I did need some. And the shelves were empty. I'm going, is there a gastric something going on? I just chuckled like mad. So then all the way home from the supermarket, I was having a rant about, oh my God, what's wrong with people, because sometimes we light workers, it weighs heavily on our shoulders. This is one of the reasons why my back actually had a bit of a collapse. And so I'm having a little rant, and I have this team that's very loud in my head all the time, and I'm pulling into my garage and they were laughing. I have this guffawing going on in my head. And I go, yeah, you can laugh at me, but at least I can vent to you, and then I can inspire everybody else. So,
Yeah.
And as I'm about to turn the key, there is on my clock 11:11, and so I just burst out laughing. I had to laugh at myself because we are constantly reminded we're not alone. So that's one thing. The other thing about, are these people really choosing this because this is what they want? I don't believe that's true. I think that I have a deep love for humanity, a deep love for humanity. And so when I see what they're doing to themselves, it is heart rendering. I don't take it on because it's not my journey. It's everyone's individual journey. I don't think they're choosing this consciously. It is the unconscious that is, of course, being so completely programmed on a minute by minute basis. For me, I like to watch the tennis, so I turn it on. I can't tell you how many times the advertising comes on to tell you where to go for which or what to support whatever is going on. And I just it is continuous. And so people are so programmed and they're so used to being programmed. And this is where I think you and I are really here for, to start making people aware that they do have a choice, because they walk out there and they think they don't have a choice. We always have a choice. I haven't changed one thing in my life as far as what I do out there, except that I don't get on an aeroplane, which is probably the only thing that I don't do anymore. But other than that, I live my life normally. I have never put anything over my face. I've never gone to a politician to ask what to do with my health. I find it ludicrous myself. I don't even go to a doctor. But then, of course, unless I can tell him what to do and what I need. But then I have some medical background. And again, that is to me, it's such a crime that we're born into this beautiful vehicle. And the very thing that we need to know how to live in it is kept from us from the first day of life. Children, we used to sing a song. The knee bones connect to the thigh bones, connect to the hip bone. Now, kids wouldn't know what the heck I'm talking about, right? Well, at least you knew that you had a skeleton. But it is coming back. I have to say, I noticed that my grandson, for instance, he is studying the inside of his body and he gets very excited. So it is coming back. But we need to know this is the most amazing, regenerative, self-healing organism we live in. And the thing that I want to bring forward is that with all that we are being told, what is being presented to us is that prime creator who created us, right? And I don't mind whether you're religious or not religious, but we all have an understanding that there is a force that creates life. You only have to look out and see the variety of beautiful flora and fauna to know that something must create this, right? And we're part of that. And what are you saying? That it can create all these beautiful things like roses and oaks and beautiful hibiscus, but it just couldn't do the human? Obviously stuffed up there, right? Obviously, we are so faulty. We need somebody else to tell us what to do with it and how to, and put a whole lot of rubbish in it and God knows what. Obviously. And so, then I think about this. If I were prime creator and I was the creator of all this beauty on this planet, and I could look down at the roses and smile as the rosebud opens and shows itself in all its beauty. I was looking at some orchids this morning because I thought I'd make myself a present, and I'm rather fond of orchids. So, and I thought of that, and I looked at the ones that are still in buds and the ones that are open, and I go, wow, that is such a beautiful creation of nature. I look at an acorn that becomes an oak tree. And so as prime creator, I could look down and go, isn't that lovely? And then I look at the human. I think if I weren't prime creator, I think I could take a pill.
Yeah.
Because what have we done with this gift of life that we get at birth? And this is what I want to encourage the collective. This is the gift of life that comes from a huge force. Why are you listening to some tiny little people to tell you what to do with it? It is time to step into our power. It is time to say no to anything that is not in alignment with the universe,
Yes.
with this beautiful energy that is breathing you when you're asleep. You trust that. You go to
Mm.
sleep at night and you don't think for a moment, well, I hope I keep breathing during the night. We don't. We
Yeah.
trust it. We trust, we trust that when we eat, something is going to digest it and it's going to come out the other end. We trust that. So why we trust if we cut ourselves that yes, we might need to put a little band-aid on it, but we trust that when we take it off, somehow this body has actually worked out how to fix itself. Don't we tell our children, don't worry, darling, it'll all be fine tomorrow? Yes, we say that, but do we believe it? Obviously not, because we're giving our health and our well-being and our freedom away so
Mm.
easily. But there's a good side to that, because the more you push a human in a corner, eventually they will fight back. And I think we're just about there.
Yeah, that's what's coming through for me, Yvonne, that as it will take people to go to the absolute brink. And some people may not come back from that. And I see everything from a multidimensional perspective, that if they choose to remain in another 3D galactic cycle, that is a perfect experience for that soul, because they may need further lessons in Earth School or 3D school, whatever the planetary system will be called at that particular time. So it's all perfect. It's sheer brilliance from the highest perspective. But yes, I absolutely agree. When things become so dark, and I know that in my own life, anyone knows that in the cycles and the chapters that we live through and out in our this lifetime, past lifetimes, however you want to perceive it, when things become so toxic, so dark, when you are so sick of your own bad behavior, you will make the choice to break through. And I suppose what is curious, and I'll use that word to be polite, for many of us observing the collective, because people like you and I have no shame in saying this, and it's not coming from my ego, we are volunteers here. We are on a mission to help raise the consciousness of humanity. We know absolutely who we are, where we came from, and what this process is about. So we are observing, hopefully without judgment. Sometimes I'm guilty of judgment, but we will pull ourselves back and keep integrating and alchemizing within our own path. But we are curious as to what it's absolutely going to take to wake some people up. It's like, isn't that enough? So now we've got to involve the children. Isn't that enough for some of you? I'm still getting attacked by people on social media for speaking up. I had a lady the other day that completely bypassed what I was saying about children crossing over because of we know what. And she said, you're a granny killer. You're the people that because you're not getting tested that you're wandering down the street and you're killing granny. It's like, wow, you have completely bypassed what the subject matter is about and you've gone on the attack for me. So again, I'm curious, what will it take? Yes, there are more people awakening. I mean, I guess I was one of those people in 2020. I thought, yeah, we'll be done by the end of 2020. We'll get through this. This is enough. Everyone will wake up and onwards we go into the golden age. Woo! And it's like, bum, bum. It's like, no, we're still here cycling into 2022. It does feel, as the great mystics say, this is the epic battle. This is the great battle. Swords are out. And we spoke before we went live, Yvonne, about tough love, because it's still love. Sometimes tough love has to come to the fore because it's fierce and it's feisty and it's strong. And it says, no longer will I accept your behaviors. No longer will you be part of my circles. You are out of my orbit unless you step up right now. And this is where I feel there's conflict in the collective, because many people are frightened of that sort of division. But when we understand multidimensionality, we can never be divided. We are one monadic force. We are shards of consciousness. We are streams of consciousness. There is never a division. And so when you know that and you're operating here in the 3D or in the lower dimensions, you can certainly create the sacred boundaries around you that says, I will not tolerate certain behaviors. Now step away. That may be the awakening that someone close to you needs. If they don't awaken at that point, that is also okay. As I said, let them go, let them experience what their soul needs to experience. Because from what I'm aware of, through my own downloads, through talking to you, Yvonne, because you've had so many insights over so many years from other mystics, this is on a time frame in terms of your choice point to step and claim your spot in the fifth dimensional consciousness arena. We are possibly down to 2 to 3 years. So it is crescendo time. And we'll keep speaking for those who want to listen and tune in, and we'll keep taking the barbs from those who want to bring us down. That's okay, because it really just washes off. I know who I am. You know who you are. We're already operating within that fifth dimensional or higher consciousness. So we're really, as I said, just observers here in the 3D. It gets pretty treacherous at times, but hey, there's rituals to bring yourself back to center.
Yeah, that's so true. This real understanding that we're all connected. We think we're all separate, and you cannot harm another without harming yourself. And that's something that people just don't realize. And I had to laugh at you saying that, you've got to go out and do whatever they want you to do to save Granny. You don't have to do anything to save me. I'm actually very safe.
Now you
But
are.
what makes me laugh is, I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at people. I'm just laughing because if I didn't, I'd have to cry. Is that there are now so many people that won't have anything to do with those people who are not compliant. And then I'll go, and why is that? Because you've just had, first of all, you had 2 of those things that are supposed to protect you from whatever they say is flying around and in the trees waiting to pounce on you. And then there is, no, but that obviously hasn't worked. So then you had a 3rd one, and it's still pouncing on you. And then, of course, now you need to have that at least every 3 months. And now you have to give that to the dog and the cat and somebody else. And because obviously none of it works. And in the meantime, the people that are not compliant, who you won't go near, are healthy and are strong and are empowered. And if none of that works, why are you scared of anything? I mean, you're so full of protection with all those things, if you believe what they say, then this is where we kind of have lost our logic and our critical thinking has gone out the door. And that's all because of the programming. And the programming is so intense. Besides that, I also believe that humanity, the collective at the moment, is starting to suffer from a reduction in oxygen. They're becoming anoxic, and that, of course, slows the brain down, and it makes us even more vulnerable to being programmed. And it's a vicious cycle. And that all sounds like bad news, but I wouldn't still be here. As I said to you before, I'd just be joining my, the rest of my era and putting my feet up and going, yes, this must be time for me to sit back. Obviously, it's not, because I'm here and I'm still, following spirit without hesitation. And you talked about, it takes discipline. It takes an enormous amount of discipline to step out of the matrix, to reprogram your mind, because the mind has been so programmed and the neural pathways are so strong. And so my work has been mainly about, reconnecting pathways that are going to be in alignment with the universe, that are going to be in alignment with your natural talents and gifts and passions, that are going to be in alignment with the thriving of life rather than the manipulation of life and the constriction of life. And that is really where we are going. And I know that we are in the golden age already. We are in what I call the dawn moment. It's a very long dawn for, some days I'm going, oh gosh, can we have a little bit more sunshine? Because that is the process. We are moving through the photon belt, which is the dawn period. And in that dawn period, it's time to let go of the dark, whatever you want to call it, the low vibrational frequency. My whole interpretation of life these days is through frequency, because that's all there is. There is either something that you say that either has a high frequency or a low frequency, and if we can just get our inner standing into that, to know and to feel our way into the world rather than to intellectualize and analyze ourselves into the world, then that'll make a big difference. And the journey is, and we all know it, is from head to heart and to soul, because once we don't stop at the heart, we must go to soul, and soul needs to be the master. And the mind is the first mate, or sometimes the second mate, depending on just how cooperative it is. And that is the journey we're taking. But it is inevitable. It is inevitable because one of the things that we haven't ever been taught is that this planet is on the move, okay? And so is the whole galaxy, and this is a cycle, and we are moving out of one cycle into another, and we are moving into a phase of this where this Earth is going to be warmer, because ultimately in the middle of the day of this cycle, this planet will probably have a Mediterranean climate throughout. And that is perhaps not very good for some people, but it is what it does. We've had ice ages, we've had floods, we've had all sorts. And that is just the way this whole galaxy keeps on the move. And if we think as our little people that we have any control over that, well, then we're just arrogant and very misinformed. But what we have control over is this inner being. And that is where the work is. Because we radiate. And the greatest obstacle that the collective is facing is fear and judgment. Oh, and they're telling me, and guilt. Mm-hmm. Fear, guilt, and judgment. They are the three things that are keeping people trapped in the matrix. So I guess what I would like to ask people to ask themselves, and I ask myself that every day, is there anywhere in my body that I am still operating from fear, from judgment, or from guilt? And if there is, then there's a bit of cleaning up to do, because they are very low vibrational frequencies, and we are radiating things that will keep us stuck in the matrix. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that I really would like to make some emphasis in is, where do you put your attention? And this is really a message to the so-called awakened people and the light workers, all of us. The moment that we pay attention to the matrix, to how it's going to be resolved, who's going to fix it, well, we are intensifying it. We're keeping it in place. We have to be so vigilant about having our energy in this new paradigm, in this new golden age, in this new Garden of Eden, so that I won't have conversations with people about, have you been this or that, have you done this or that, and what. I just don't have that conversation. I have no idea what's going on in the world. If I need to know something, then I'm made aware of it. And I have a great filter. And I look at it and I go, I wonder why that is. For instance, let me just very quickly go to the debacle that the tennis world has just gone through. And I'm not giving it any more energy than that. But everybody had to have an opinion. And all I had to do, I just sat and laughed. And people said, why do you think it's funny? And I'm going, because it's big. It's the whole world's paying attention. So all I know is that it has a reason, and the only reason is to move us forward. And I'm going to look at what will it project? What will grow from this? Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. So I just get really excited when anything like that happens. Anytime there is some big something that happens, it is there because something is going to explode and move us forward.
Yeah.
And that's the way that I look at everything, all the dramas. Go, oh, good, that's is going to wake up more people. That's going to take us forward into this new world.
Yes, and that's really training the spiritual mind to focus and focus and focus only on the fact that no matter what happens, no matter what, we have created this for our own highest good. This is another sign and a symbol that we are moving into the golden age, or the beautiful Garden of Eden that you spoke about. If we keep using these terms, we can feel, what is the Garden of Eden? How does that feel like? What does that look like? And then it becomes textural, and then our cells start to adapt as if it's already happened. So whatever then comes in through the hologram is a sign, even if the logical left brain wants to say that means that we're on a trajectory to doom. Cool, that's just one aspect of self. But the right brain that lives in the imaginative creative world, it sees that as a sign or a code that, yes, that means we're being propelled into this golden age. So I absolutely love that. It's very advanced thinking, Yvonne. You are just so relaxed and snugly in that place. You were incarnated, I would suggest, highly conscious. You've done the work over many, many lifetimes. You've done the work in this lifetime. But you are a shining pillar of how to do it. And so anyone tuning in that feels that they can't, you just get in the slipstream of Yvonne's consciousness. That's important. These so-called gurus or spiritual leaders, they're not better than you, but what you can do is slipstream with them. Let them join the energy. Just get on board, make a conscious choice in this now moment to get on board of that way of perceiving reality, even if you feel you're playing games with yourself for a little while, because again, the left brain, logical brain say that's not reality. Things are terrible. They're building these wellness camps, what's going to happen to us, and all your worst case scenarios are going to be coming at you. You just recognize them for what they are, and you integrate and you alchemize. We all have that ability to take whatever stimulus is coming through the hologram and turning it into gold. We can move anything from lead to gold or from carbon to crystalline. That is our power as these supernatural beings. But I want to add something. When you said about, you heard to add guilt is what's going on in the collective, along with fear and judgment. And I got another one come through as you said that, and it's grief. And we need to grieve for what has been. We need to grieve for the dream that we were, dare I say it, conned into believing, because in the inversion, in the matrix, pretty much everything is a lie. And so therefore we need to grieve what we considered reality was. And I love that you spoke about the galactic cycle, and we're coming out of the galactic dark night. And so of course we were in ignorance. We were in spiritual amnesia. We had to have that contrast to our highest light in order to perceive who we actually were. So again, it was all perfect. But as we cycle out of that and we're in the photon band and we're lining up with the galactic center, and no matter what, Mother Gaia is on her ascension pathway, and those who choose to align with love and grace will go with her. So perhaps then for those who are unsure whether they can go with that ascension timeline, or whether they really want to stay attached and white knuckle and hold on and grip to the reality that has been, maybe it's about grieving. Maybe it's about saying, I allow that old self to die. It's okay. There will be a death within my lifetime of what I thought reality was. And I guess that's where, we coin these terms like the cognitive dissonance. We're seeing cognitive dissonance in so many people because they just want to hold on, get back to normal. And it's like, but why? It's not great. What you were living wasn't great. You're in a slave planetary system. Come on, you're getting taxed every which way but sideways. You you belong to children, babies who are born don't even get to put the soles of the feet on the earth. That's how much they won't allow you to be of the earth, to be a living entity of Mama Gaia. They rob you right at the beginning of that opportunity. There are things that have done to us right from the word go, and so we say, oh, but that's just the way that it is. No, that is not just the way that it is. This is where we need to get fierce and fighty. That is not just the way that it is. That's the illusion. That's the matrix. That's the programming. Let's not keep feeding that. Let's grieve for what has been. Let's create a new reality, because it's going to be beyond what our imagination can even conjure up. The golden age is ours, and it is here now. You just simply have to claim it, or choose to claim it, maybe the better way to say it. It is a choice. We all have that choice point, because again, free will can never be taken from us. But how are we exercising our free will?
Fabulous stuff. The thing is, though, yes, grieving is absolutely essential. I think what stands in the way too is this fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And I think for us, it is time for us to stop pointing out the things that they're doing wrong, which I don't live in the world of right and wrong. I just know that whatever is, you need to live it. But unless we band together, those of us who are awakened, those of us who have the vision of this new earth, unless we actually show what that looks like, we can talk about it until we're blue in the face. But if they can't see it, they haven't got an alternative. We're not giving enough alternative. We're spending so much time on holding up this sign of, what is wrong with the world, or what's wrong with the world, but they haven't got an alternative of where to go or what the new world looks like. And that is the problem. So that is where they hang on to the known. The devil we know is better than the devil we don't. Well, it's better not to have a devil at all. So my whole passion, and why I get up every day, no matter how old I'm going to become, is to create this new earth, not to talk about it. And we've got so many communities around the world that are now creating a new earth, a place where everyone is welcome, where there is joy, where there is peace, where there is harmony, where there's equality, where there is support, where there is encouragement, where everyone has each other's back, where there is just this incredible open-hearted, open-armed community. And every time somebody comes into our community, the community that I'm creating here, is, well, I'm not creating it, because a community is a community of people. It's not one person. And so, I go, what brought you here? Oh, I'm looking for a tribe. And I will, have you found it? Oh my God, I didn't know there were people like you still, around. And so I think I would like to challenge those of you who are awakened, start a community. I don't care. Start with one, start with two, and people build it, and people will come. This is not a place we're going to suddenly wake up in. This is a place that we need to create first within ourselves, and then in our community. And the other thing that I also just wanted to mention is, you said, get into Von Slipstream, and instantly I'm feeling, oh gosh, because I've been at it for a while, and I just have to say that there's nothing that I'm offering you that isn't within every one of you. That I needed to find it in me. And that what it is the Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it, Fred Nerd for all I care. I just know that I walk with a team of unseen beings of all dimensions, and they have an amazing sense of humor because they're laughing at me now. And I don't, it's not me.
Yeah.
I absolutely, the Von me steps aside. I offer this vehicle with all the joy, but I'm a demanding woman, so this vehicle needs to be looked after. If I'm going to surrender it, I'm no victim to anything, not even to those powers. So there is this wonderful co-creative cooperative partnership that I keep talking about. And it is so beautiful. It's within each one of us. That is what we need to find. We need to go within and find that God connection, for those of you who like that word. I don't like it because religion has made it this tiny little thing that looks like Father Christmas. So to me, it's the quantum field of intelligence that is infinite. And we are a spark of that. So when we connect with that, when we allow that to tell us the way, to show us the way to the light, it is so amazing, and it's speeding up. The time, we're in the time of the quickening. I think, everybody's talked about the quickening. We're in it because, we say something and bang, there it is. It is happening so fast. But that's the same in the good things as the not so good things. So this is a quantum field that says yes. It says yes to everything.
Yeah.
No matter whether you ask for goodies, goodies. You ask for something not so goodies, not so goodies. Because that's where the power is within you. And that's why my question is, why are you creating it? Well, I'm not. I'm creating a new earth. Every day I put all my energy into creating a community.
Well, as you said, Yvonne, we're coming into the dawn. And so maybe there's that space again for people to come out of their slumber. And look, sometimes when you get woken up and you're in a deep slumber, you're a little bit angry for a while with the person that's woken you up, and that's okay. And so we have that allowance and that grace for that to go on. And yet cosmically, being in the dawn, stepping into new earth, therefore is available for all. Again, it is a choice, because I've been shown that not everyone chooses that particular ascension timeline. That's okay. It's absolutely perfect. They'll get their opportunity again. No one is left out of the kingdom of God, goddess, source code. It doesn't exist. There's no way we can ever be separate. So when we know that and we trust that from our highest dimensional perspective, we can allow what needs to happen here in these lower dimensions to play themselves out. Not because we're choosing to create division. It's just that we have that that acceptance, that free will for each individual needs to be exercised in the way that's right for their soul and what their soul needs to continue to learn and grow through. But yeah, the slipstream one is so interesting. It's something that definitely we never want to put pressure on our spiritual teachers or pedestal them, because they're certainly never better. But it's more the remembrance that we're just shards of the one consciousness. So sometimes when you've been aligning and giving your power over to forces that don't have your best interests at heart, sometimes it's a safe kind of nice way just to slipstream in with those teachers that you feel very aligned to, not them in their personality, ego self, but what they represent in terms of their energetic self, what the energy that they're bringing through represents. It's so fascinating to me watching many in the collective, not right nor wrong, but with curiosity, watching them engage in the mass occult rituals and I love what you said about the quantum field, that it's going to just give you a yes, the quickening. It's going to give you a yes to whatever you are summoning. And so they're using their energy to summons dark forces. They don't realize, I know that's not their conscious intent. And so we always have to look at intention. I've had many people come to me recently that had chosen a certain pathway and certain medical procedures and then quickly realized that that's not what they wanted at all. Now, when I say to them, but your intention wasn't to summons that dark energy or shut yourself down or unravel your organic DNA sequencing and all of these things. But you've awakened. So your intention now is to work towards new earth. So the intention overrides everything as far as I'm concerned. And I know that there are many doctors speaking in the truther community that will say, and many mystics as well, that will say, well, once you've had it, that's it. It's pretty much game over. I don't align to that, because everything does come down to intention. So you catch yourself, you realize, yes, I was playing a role in this mass occult ritual that's been going on for a couple of years now. That wasn't my intention. I recalibrate at this point. Even if I've had certain procedures done, I recalibrate and I choose now what I'm going to send my energy into. And again, I feel that opening is there for another 2 to 3 years before Mother Earth. We can't stop her cycle, right? None of us can stop that. It's both daunting yet terribly exciting. So, there's a little bit of space. And when you were on my show recently, Yvonne, we talked about Uluru and the activation points that are happening from that sacred portal in Australia that are rippling out to all the sacred sites and all the node points in terms of the humans that are anchoring light here on the planet. There's a lot going on that we don't even recognize, but it is happening. And so there's a little bit of grace period, I'd say, for a bit longer, and then it's time. It's time to really commit to your choice, whatever that is. It's not right or wrong, but there will be consequences to your choice either way.
Yeah, that's very true, but I agree with you. Look, I don't believe there are any victims.
Yeah.
So those who've signed up to allow the whatever is going on to take them out or to make them unwell or whatever that is, they have signed up for that to awaken others.
Yeah.
So I look at that from a very different perspective. So there are no victims. We all had pre-incarnate scripts written that we wrote, and each one of us has a role to play. And so when, there are children that suffer, I don't see them like that. I see everyone as an expression of Source doing what they need to do for this ascension process. And so therefore it is like, wow, so you're playing that role and you're playing that role. And I get up every morning and say, what role am I playing today? I've got no idea. Well, today I'm playing a role with Carrie Ann and I'm having a lovely time. So, that is, so I don't see anyone as victim, and I don't see anyone, if whether you have or you haven't, if you, whatever you do from a heart vibration is fine. And see, this is the thing about people not understanding, and what I'm so interested in is this, suddenly we're now being made aware of scalar energy. It's something I've been teaching for 30 years. So the higher our vibration, high vibration and low vibration cannot exist in the same place. So these medical interventions or whatever, all the stuff that is being infused upon the collective at the moment, for whatever reason, is a low vibration. The moment you awaken and you take yourself to a higher vibration, this becomes null and void. Becomes null and void. It just cannot live in the same space. So when you say, well, intention, yes, intention is one thing, but once that you have changed and you looked at it and you've decided, well, that's not for me any longer, I now choose to go within and find a new master, and my master is my soul, then instantly that takes you to a higher vibrational frequency. And the minute you do that, whatever you did before is just going to go, it's going to stay where it is in a low vibrational frequency. And when people understand that is who we are, energy beings, and we know how to work that, that's, we don't know how to work ourselves. I'm just looking at go.
Well, we've really forgotten our ability to create, which cycles right back to what we were talking about at the beginning, where we're activating creator mode.
Yes.
It's we're always creating. We just may not be conscious of what we're creating. So we're bringing consciousness to what our thoughts are, to the spells that we speak via the spoken word, to the visions that we have. We are creators anyway. That can never be taken from us. I guess for me, one of the reasons, or the main reason, that I would never choose the medical intervention that's being offered is because I don't want it shutting down my pineal gland. For me, when I look into what it's about shutting down the imaginative process, because that is how we create. They want us to create what they're selling, but no. So keep that portal wide open, and you can, as Yvonne has just beautifully said, even if you have gone the other way, as soon as you make that choice back to higher vibration, it'll be available again. But let's remember, we have powerful technology. We all have it. We don't need to look to anyone else. We all have it. It's all within us. And it's time now to use your creative potential for the highest good, for this beautiful golden age that many are already dwelling in. And, everyone's got arms wide open to welcome in as many that choose to come.
Absolutely. Now, before we complete, I would like to share something with you. And this is what the theme of a musical called Time. Now, this musical was probably before most people watching this today. And it was way before its time. It had Queen in it and Michael Hutchison and all of those wonderful stars. It never, ever got off. It was shown in the big theatres in London, and then it just vanished because it was so before its time that people couldn't grasp it. So the background of Time was that the Earth had messed up so badly that the galactic forces had decided it was time to get rid of it. We'd had as much time as we needed, and we were going to go bye-bye. But we were allowed to go to trial. And so we were on trial as a humanity. And so as far as most of them were concerned, we weren't worth the trouble. However, there was one voice that was there to be in our favor. And this was the theme of Time. And I love it. And I'd like to share it with you because it is actually orated by Sir Laurence Olivier. And if you're too young to know who he is, you need to look that up. So here, I'm just going to share that for a moment and then we'll get back to you. So let's have a look. Okay, where am I going? No, I don't want to share that. All right, let me see. All right, can you see that, Kerry?
Not yet, my love.
Oh, okay, well, that's not good, is it? Oh, there it was. I thought. Where am I going? See, this is something that I am not very good at because, so let me just go out of that. Maybe I'll have to do it on here. And are you seeing anything but me? No, you're not. So just excuse, this technology is not working so well here, really.
Mercury retrograde. I was on a show a couple of days ago. I had the same problem. It's like when the technology just is not good yet, but we empower it now to work.
Hey, we are going to empower it to work. If I can just find us. Well, oops, no, don't start because you can't. Well, we might just have to hear it. I'm going to go share screen. And then what happens? So why can't I share screen? Okay, let me see this then. Can you see it now?
Still not coming up.
All right, well, I'm going to play it, so maybe you can just hear it.
Hmm.
Can we hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Stand before me on the sign of infinity, all you of the earth. With the granting of the law of provenation, comes the application of change. I will give you the key. And with this knowledge, please realize, comes the responsibility of sharing it. I will show you the way. It's very simple. Throughout the universe, there is order in the movement of the planets, in nature, and in the functioning of the human mind. A mind that is in its natural state of order is in harmony with the universe, and such a mind is timeless. Your life is an expression of your mind. You are a creator of your own universe. For as a human being, you are free to will whatever state of being you desire through the use of your thoughts and words. There is great power there. Can be a blessing or a curse. It's entirely up to you. For the quality of your life is brought about by the quality of your thinking. Think about that. Thoughts produce actions. Look at what you are thinking. See the pettiness and the envy and the greed and the fear and all the other attitudes that cause you pain and discomfort. Realize that the one thing you have absolute control over is your attitude. See the effect that it has on those around you. For each life is linked to all life, and your words carry with them chain reactions, like a stone that is thrown into a pond. If your thinking is in order, your words will flow directly from the heart, creating ripples of life. If you truly want to change your world, my friend, you must change your thinking. Reason is your greatest tool. It creates an atmosphere of understanding, which leads to caring, which is love. Choose your words with care. Go forth with love.
Wow, what do you think?
Powerful, powerful. It's all there, isn't it?
I'll put the link on the chat.
That'd be great because I'd love to see that.
Okay.
The full movie?
No, this is only just the theme of time, but you can look up. It was a play, so it was never a movie. So you can download the music.
Right.
Yeah. And they're all very powerful. Yes, so everything in there. What is the key?
Yeah.
You know, I'll give you the key. And the key is the way you think, the way you speak, and the way you act. And one of the saddest things that I'm noticing is that we have forgotten to be kind to each other.
Mm.
We seem to be afraid of each other.
Yeah. Yes, the programming has been effective, but that doesn't mean that in the next moment we can't unravel that program and reawaken into a new reality. So anything's possible in this beautiful universe that we find ourselves in. Anything is possible, and it's always returning to that innocence of knowing that it didn't matter how dark things became, because all that will be forgotten in an instant once we awaken again to kindness, as you said at the top of the show, loving the human kindness. That is who we are. It can never be stripped away from us. It can be layered up with many illusions, but the source code can never be eradicated, and that is who we are. That we are source code, and we'll cycle back to that. And I make peace with the whole galactic game that we set up for ourselves. As you said, everyone's playing their role so perfectly. Everyone's needed in this particular script, so that we have contrast, so that we have activation, so that we can go on our own hero's journey. It is sheer brilliance. We're so powerful. We're so amazing. We're so creative. We're so magical in ways that I can't even express in words. And let's keep celebrating ourselves and the technology that we have as humans.
Yeah. And keep, coming from love. But I had to laugh when you said, we need to unravel. One of my careers that I was as a knitwear designer. And so instantly, how many times I've actually pulled out a jumper that had its use by date, which is what I think our world has, and just reknitted something different, much better than the last one. And I go out and feel really wonderful. So let's unravel this one and let's reknit a new earth that we want to live in. Carrie, I want to thank you. This has been a delight. We'll do it some more. Maybe next time we'll have one of the guys with us. But I think we've done pretty well, don't you think?
Oh, we could probably rave on for centuries, I'm sure. We probably have. No, you're an absolute inspiration to me, Yvonne. Thank you so much for all that you do and are, and
I'd really like to say thank you, and I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching, and share and share and share, because we are the ones that are the way showers, and we just need to show an alternative that is more attractive than the one that is being fed. And I know that I live in one, and I certainly wouldn't want to live in the other, and I know you do too. So let's go do it. Let's not give up. Let's keep moving forward. Love you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.